This message comes from Mint Mobile. Starting at $15 a month, make the switch at mintmobile.com/switch. $45 upfront payment for 3 months. 5 gigabyte plan equivalent to $15 a month. Taxes and fees extra. First 3 months only. See terms.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. It felt like a full circle moment to be like, oh my God, these are the conversations I was always trying to ear hustle on. And now they are not quite the same as the conversations that I had with my friends, but some aspects of them still feel true in ways.
You're listening to Books We've Loved from NPR.
The book show where we reread old favorites and tell you why they still matter today.
I'm Andrew Limbong.
And I'm B.A. Parker.
I want to introduce our guest with us. We've got It's Been a Minute host, Brittany Luce. Brittany, what's up? How you doing?
I'm happy to be here today. I'm excited about this conversation.
All right, we won't tease it anymore. The book we are going to be talking about today is Terry McMillan's Waiting to Exhale. Woo!
Woo!
I'm starting doing the applause.
Okay. Shoot, Beidou.
It's a pretty big book. It's a pretty icon. I don't want to overuse the word iconic, but I think it's fair here, right? I think
totally fair. Totally.
In my house, it's iconic.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
All right, before we get to that, I'm just going to do a quick synopsis for anybody who hasn't read it. This book follows 4 friends. We got Savannah, Bernadine, Robin, Gloria. They're all in their mid-30s. They're all a mess in some way, and they're all looking for love. Each of them have their ups and downs with men, which for listeners out there, just a heads up, we will be talking about sex in this conversation. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that what's at the core of this book is the friendship between the 4 of them. I think that's a fair enough to start. That's a fair enough place to start.
Yeah.
Parker, you said you grew up with this book?
Yes. It was the cover that you have, the old school paperback with the highlighter business suits with the fancy hats. Mm-hmm. I saw it every day of my childhood on my mom's bookshelf. I mean, from that to the movie to the soundtrack, my entire childhood is wrapped up in Waiting to Exhale, even though I've never read the book until today for the show. I'm sorry.
It's foundational. I read this book when I was 12.
I had to sneak and read things, and it was too hard. I did sneak and read How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yeah.
But Waiting to Exhale, I couldn't.
It was too high on the shelf.
A little bit.
Yeah, you read it at 12? 12 is crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't follow or didn't care about a lot of details that were in the book. Marriage, divorce, husband, those things were not very relevant to my daily life.
So far away.
But it felt like the epitome of grown folks' business. But Waiting to Exhale, Parker's absolutely right. It's it is a foundational text for Black American women. And for women our age, this is the backdrop of your childhood, essentially. Whether you've seen the movie or read the book or not, they're inescapable.
Just for reference, it was in the background of my life. Not right?
Yeah.
It was I also assumed it was grown folks' business, and that was I never bothered to read it until now, because when I was a kid, I was oh yeah, that's not for me. That's something beyond.
You mean the movie about all the Black women living and loving in Arizona in their 30s was not for you?
Well, I was okay, I'll get there when I get there.
That's fair.
Yeah, but it's hard to disentangle this book from the movie, right? I think about, kind of similar to Amy Tan's Joy Luck Club, I do feel I read this book through osmosis of seeing the trailer for the movie somehow. I sort of got the vibe of what it was about without ever having touched it. So, Brittany, being the only one who read this then and reading it now, did you feel you grew up into the book?
Oh, absolutely. I am now the age of the characters in the book.
We are now the grown folks.
We are now the grown folks. We are now in grown folks' business. There's some things about it, where the contours of the story, I understood aspects of them as a child, even though I very much lived a child's life. Still, I was around women who were around that age, who were in their mid-30s to mid-40s a lot when I was a kid.
Same.
And hearing their conversations, Terry McMillan is excellent at writing dialogue. And the dialogue in this book and the individual voices of the characters, hear them very clearly because they sounded like my mom talking on the phone to her friends. So it was interesting. It felt like a full circle moment to be like, oh my God, these are the conversations I was always trying to like ear hustle on. And now they are not quite the same as the conversations that I had with my friends, but some aspects of them still feel true in ways.
Let's do a quick bio of Terry McMillan. She's the oldest of 5 kids. She grew up in Michigan. She published her first short story, The End, while she was still in college. Her 1989 book, Disappearing Acts, was a fictionalized account of a relationship falling apart. And after the book came out, McMillan's ex and the father of her child sued her for defamation. It's actually a pretty interesting publishing story about, what can or can't be written about. But eventually, the suit was dismissed.
Yeah, I was going to say, how would anybody know it was him? That's my question. How would anybody know it was you?
He sort of volunteered the
I was going to say, that's the Streisand effect. He did that.
Look, we would have never known.
He came up and said,
I would have never known.
This is too close to me.
Exactly. And I'm like, all the guys in here, like, for the most part, they suck really bad. It's like, why would you voluntarily let people know?
So this novel, Waiting to Exhale, as I understand, was the second largest paperback book deal in publishing history. And, she's just like credited with having introduced like this interior world of Black women professionals, right? Women who are like in their 30s, working, available, unhappy, human, as some might say. Yeah. And I kind of want to get into the influence of this book that we see today, because I think you can make an argument that without this book, you don't get everything from like Sex and the City to Call Her Daddy to like the brand of like
put that on her. Don't put that on Mama Terry. Do not put that on Terry McMillan. Take it back.
You can draw a line, right? You can draw the line. And so
let's give that to like Erica Jong. We don't need to claim that.
Well, we'll put a pin in it. But when it came out, like we were just alluding to before, I think there was a contingent of dudes who were like, this book is harmful to Black men. This book is like saying something. I remember there was that movie.
That happens like every time. That happens it happened like with The Bluest Eye, Color Purple. I don't know what to tell you.
The 90s really was like Black men get right and then getting the response. 80s and the 90s. We wouldn't have She's Gotta Have It.
And yeah, so speaking of Spike Lee, he actually blurbed the book, right? And what he wrote in a way sort of preempts the criticism, right? Because he says something along the lines of, this book is a truthful and well-written account of the, quote, volatile relationships between Black men and Black women, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just want to play you this clip. It's pretty funny. It's Terry McMillan talking to Terry Gross on WHYY's Fresh Air about Spike's reading of the book.
This is amazing. I'm so excited.
And he said, Terry, they're going to jump all over you. And I said, yeah, Spike, I know, but I told a story I wanted to tell, and I'm prepared for it because I'm not going to let the African-American community dictate how I tell a story. And also, when I tell a story, I wish they would just get it once and for all that we, not just myself, but other African-American writers, we're not trying to represent the entire Black race. We are telling a story about the characters that inhabit the pages of our book. That's it. And the ones who usually are whining and complaining are the ones who are usually guilty.
She said hit dogs holler. That's what she said. She said hit dogs holler. Wait, what year is that interview from?
92. The entire interview is like brilliant. She's on edge and she's like, because when Terry Gross asks about this criticism, McMillan goes like, are you saying that? Are you? Terry's like, no. I'm saying she does the journalism thing.
Yeah. Everybody involved needed to have this experience. This is healthy.
Oh my goodness, Terry on Terry crime.
Yeah.
It's a real intracultural conversations that are being had that happen to be mass marketed and have this huge publishing deal. That's kind of you'll have something like Joy Luck Club, where it's like Amy Tan's trying to exercise these feelings she has about her family and her mother's past and all these things through all these separate women, or whether it's Their Eyes Are Watching God, where she's also having an intercultural conversation. Maybe the critics may not have felt that way at the time. But Terry McMillan is writing about what she knows and what she has experienced and what she's lived. And it's that thing where the specific becomes universal. So it's why when I was reading Waiting to Exhale, I could see tinges of Pride and Prejudice in it. Of just
absolutely.
I was like, oh my God, I have to find a husband right now or I'll die.
Top book that came to mind reading Waiting to Exhale. There was so much talk about money, finances, caring for parents, caring for children, salary, selling your house, selling your condo, paying off your student loans. Like, how much does a guy make? What does that mean? I was like, oh my God, Mother Bennett, are you with us?
Right? Yeah.
But it's the thing in this book that I think also probably of its time, but like as an adult now, like a Black woman in her 30s, professional, single, out in the world, there's a level of desperation in the book of like, you can't make it through this world alone.
Moms still talk like that now.
I know.
They sometimes will still talk like that after you get married.
Golly. It
doesn't stop.
It doesn't
It's
stop.
2025. But yeah, and then it was like, I feel like we've progressed.
Okay. Here's the thing about reading this book and watching the movie is that, like, I think more so reading this book, it feels like I'm listening to a podcast.
No wonder you think about Call Her Daddy.
Yeah, kind of. This is the thread I'm talking. All the action happens in conversation, right? A lot of it is like, hey, you don't believe this date I just went on. Hey, you don't believe, like, I went on a road trip with this guy and it went awry and da da da. Before we get to Call Her Daddy, let's take this in baby steps. I do think it's fair to say that without this book, you don't get Sex and the City, right?
Absolutely not.
Sure.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Like, this sort of paves the way for mass market. Here's a conversation women are having. White in Sex and the City is very white women, very like upper, a certain class of white women are having. But they're talking very openly about sex and like men who are bad at it. And right?
Yeah.
Which then I think then I'm jumping off. That's how you get to sort of like the media landscape we're in now, where it's like talking openly about sex in podcast form or whatever is this iteration of like feminism, right? Is this sort of the natural evolution of things?
Well, yeah, all these books, podcasts, movies, TV shows are her
kids.
sons. That's a really good point. I mean, Sex and the City absolutely jumped to mind for me when I was reading this book, not just because it's like for women with different personalities or whatever, but you could actually really see the craft on the page as far as the dialogue and the storytelling is concerned. But the perspective shifts. I think Sex and the City is one of the best television shows of all time. And it is because when you watch that show, something that's missing from a lot of similar shows now that I also see in this book, Waiting to Exhale, and that I think Macmillan does such an incredible job of doing is constant perspective shifts. When you watch an episode of, say, Sex and the City, and you compare it to a similar show from the 2010s or from the 2020s, something that is missing is that like you feel like nothing happens when you watch it. And when you go back and watch an episode of Sex and the City, every single woman has a plot line that moves her overarching, like full season arc forward. And that's what it was like reading this book. Each woman had a distinctive voice. I could see and hear their conversation in my mind because Macmillan knew these characters so well and gave them such distinct personalities on the page. And that's how it felt like, reminded me of an episode of Sex and the City. And I think actually probably definitely influenced, whether they realized it or not, influenced the writing of the show because it was constant handoff.
Well, it's interesting that you said, Brittany, that when you read it as a kid, you read it like at one cousin's house here and at someone else's house there. It's sort of built for that, right? Like the chapters are like short and like they're all like specifically to like one character and sort of meant to, it's like the perfect like commuter novel where it's like you pick it up, you read one chapter, two chapters, and they're like tight little vignettes, like Raymond Carver-esque, just like really short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. And then you can like pick it up whenever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, particularly about the book, about the movie, because it felt like it was part of like the monoculture at some point, there was this feeling or expectation that more would come of that, I think. There is, I mean, like after this was How Stella Got Her Groove Back, which also became a film. But the thing is, like, there was a whole discussion in the mid-2000s of like, where did all like the Black films go?
Yeah.
And like the fact that like Tyler Perry took up a lot of real estate with a very particular kind of film, but a lot of it grabs from like the problematic man and like the independent woman, but with a more like moralistic viewpoint towards it, but not like the fun of being footloose and fancy free in Phoenix and the power of friendship. Like it'll be 30 years this year since the movie.
Since the movie came out.
It is 30
Since the
years
movie came
this
out.
year since the movie came out.
But yeah, so because it feels like such a very specific moment in time, that there is like a nostalgia for it.
I agree with you, Parker. I mean, I know you didn't love the book. Parker. But I do feel like, I agree with you though, that like the film and even just like the place that the book holds in our culture, there isn't really anything I can think of that replaces it on the same level at all.
True. We can get to my feelings on the book.
Right, yeah, well, let's take a break right there. Yeah, there's a tease. There's a tease. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we get back, Parker will lay out her manifesto.
This message comes from Whole Foods Market. Follow your wellness goals and save big with sales on supplements and vitamins. Explore an abundance of high-quality multivitamins, probiotics, and protein powders. Keep good habits going strong. Cook homemade meals featuring sustainable wild-caught sockeye salmon and many more delicious and lean protein options. For wellness when you need it, shop Smart Meal shortcuts to stay motivated, like ready-to-eat salad kits. Shop all things wellness at Whole Foods Market.
This message comes from LinkedIn, who knows how even one hiring nightmare can ruin your small business dreams. That's why LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant uses insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a personalized short list of the best applicants, and even finds candidates you would have otherwise missed, so you can hire right the first time. Start hiring with LinkedIn and post your job for free today at linkedin.com/NPR. This message comes from Mint Mobile. This holiday season, stop overpaying for wireless and switch to Mint. Shop 50% off unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/switch. Limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Above 35 gigabytes, network may slow when busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
Okay, we're back. Let's do a quick recap of who these friends are. You've got Savannah. She's the career-minded PR executive who's looking for a guy on a similar socioeconomic trajectory, and she's the newest member of this group of friends. And then you got Gloria, the sort of rock of the group. She owns a beauty salon and cares more about doting on her teenage son than looking for men to date. You got Bernadine, who actually ends up in the middle of a kind of nasty divorce from her husband, who leaves her for his white secretary. And then you got Robin. She's the most open-hearted. She seems to fall for the wrong guy at a faster rate than her friends. In this document, Parker, there's like a question that's highlighted. I think it's from you, and it's the question is just just does Terry McMillan hate women?
Okay, please go for it. Let's get into it.
This is my question. Do we think Terry McMillan hates women?
Does Terry McMillan hate women?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
I don't know, man.
Well, this is the thing. So I used to follow her on Twitter back in the day. I had no disrespect to Miss McMillan. I had to unfollow her after a while because she was kind of like snapping at people. So I don't know if it's like
she has snappy
specific
tendencies.
Yeah, I don't think she specifically hates women. That's not what I got. That's not what I gathered from the book.
Parker, speak your truth. What led you to this question?
I want to know why you think so. I want to get into
as I was reading the book, McMillan's writing style gave very much like that friend who is always mean.
Yes.
But when you call them out, they're like, I'm just being honest. And I'm like, there are ways in which to do that that aren't this. So I was reading the book, and this is the conclusion that I came after talking to Andrew a little bit. I was like, I think the friends like each other, but I don't know if McMillan likes these women.
Okay. I felt like, because, this is the thing. One thing I will say, very different going back and reading the book as a grown person after having seen the movie now so many times. Because the movie is so much about sisterly love. You know? And the movie is purely about sisterly love. But in the book, they have all these nasty things they say about each other behind their backs. And think about each other all the time. Yeah. But I think aside from like the fatphobic comments that they make a lot about Gloria, I think that a lot of what she's doing when she has them talk about each other behind their backs is it's like giving you, the reader, a peek into their truly private thoughts that they think that nobody else is hearing. So I think that creates a sense of intimacy for me as the reader. And then the other thing too is I think that their less charitable thoughts about each other are meant to connect with you as the reader. But I think another reason why she did that is to allow you as the reader to have somebody say, exactly, like she's pissing me off. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that is part of why she would have some of those mean asides too. And also the reason why people come back to gossip and gossiping among women and friends more broadly as a point in stories of all kinds is because people do it. So one of the things that I think she does a pretty decent job in this book of sort of braiding in is trying to touch on a bajillion topics of the day. Yeah. And like the topics of the day of the 90s were like crack was something that came up. And the MLK
AIDS.
Day holiday is something that came up. And trying to deal with sexist men was something that they were thinking about. Like and divorce, everything in the 90s is like divorce. It's like this unique
Well, it's because
thing.
they're cheating. Were people cheating like this in the 90s?
But I also think it's more exacerbated because they are only dating like the same 4 black men in Phoenix.
Speak on it.
They're bound to be married. Like Savannah got to ship one in that's married to cheat. Like there's like a whole. All of them except for Gloria is out here like with a married man doing stuff.
I mean, that's true. That's true. But I was a monthly reader of Essence magazine. You probably were too, Parker. And I was a weekly reader
Jet,
of
Ebony,
Jet.
do all the business.
A monthly reader of Ebony as well. And something that came up a ton throughout that entire time that actually colored the way that I thought about dating and like looking for a husband. I don't know if I put it that way. I just found one. But there aren't enough black men to go around. It's scarce.
It's a real scarcity mindset.
The scarcity mindset. Like, you know, watching movies like any of these movies. Stella got her group back watching Waiting to Exhale and, you know, reading these books or even thinking about like B.B. Moore Campbell. Shout out to the late, great B.B. Moore Campbell. A lot of these kinds of, like, regardless of the stats, I don't know them off the top of my head, but baby, it was in the water. It was in the air. It was in the culture in a very intense way. In the 90s that I was aware of, that was when I was becoming sentient. But it doesn't feel like it's necessarily changed today.
Girl, it's gotten worse. The stat is now 49%. Black women are married.
I know, but like, do black women have to get married?
I don't think so.
I am married. I married this person.
Brittany, you and I split the difference.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, I will say, so the book is about like the power of friendship. Sure. I think in my mind, it reminded me a little bit of like Night of the Living Dead, of this like I had a point here of just like these 4 women are in this house and these zombies of men are trying to come in and bring.
And white women, yeah.
Yeah, zombies and white women are trying to tear down this house, trying to come through the windows. And they're kind of like sisters in strife, kind of uniting together to fight them off. That's what I got out of it. That was my interpretation as I like called my mom and was like, okay, so you read this when I was like 4, right? Were you having a good time while you were reading this? And she was like, no, because my mom was a plus size single mom, divorcee. And she was like, oh yeah, no. I felt awful reading this. Like, Sarah McMillan hated me.
She was not kind to Gloria, man. She was not kind to Gloria.
The book clubs were rough for the Baltimore black women at the time.
My mom read the book. I asked her about it, and she only told me details about the movie. She's like, I was like, well, you read the book? She's like, yeah. I said, what do you remember about it? She's like, well, Angela Bassett. I was like, all right. You're not helping me. I love you, but you're not helping me right now with anything.
So our final question is, why do you think this book deserves to be read today? Brittany, do you want to take the first crack at it?
Yeah. I think this book deserves to be read today because I think it is such an interesting time capsule of Black professional middle-class women in the 1990s, which is like a group of people who I don't think were understood more broadly in this country. And also, like, they had, each of them, these rich interior lives that were written across every page. I was around for the 90s, but like, I wasn't doing much. I was in elementary school for most of it. And so I've always been fascinated with that time. As I've grown up, I've become way more fascinated with that time and what it must have been like to be a grown Black woman back then at a point where we were gaining a certain type of visibility that we hadn't really seen in the same way before. Like the everyday kind of middle-class Black woman. It's not the only Black woman. I think that now we're at a place where storytelling-wise, I think that sometimes that is the case. Or like the super successful, very rich Black woman. And those are obviously not the only stories to tell, but all of these women feel like regular gals that you would know. And the things that they did, the things that they talked about, the things that they thought about were very everyday. And I think that seeing the things that they were concerned with and seeing the ways in which those concerns still reverberate to today is so interesting. It's been making me think a lot about why some things have changed so much and other things not at all.
Parker, are you a nay still?
I am a yay for anthropological purposes.
I'm with that.
I'm thinking of other Black female literature across the decades, right? And this kind of story we had never read before. And I think before then, you have like your Zora Neale Hurston, you had Alice Walker, you have your Toni Morrison. That feels like it is revered in a way that I don't think Waiting to Exhale is as revered in that capacity. And I think reading it for like a very specific place and time, super interesting and super important.
Interesting. Okay.
What about you, Andrew?
I'm pretty strong yay for a couple of reasons. It is kind of funny that like these books, it's like women be like, what's up with these guys? What's up with men? what is that? What is going on? It's like, oh yeah, that tracks still. And I just want to echo the fact that I thought it was like funny, right? And it's like, we can talk about how as shady as it is, to this day, there's like the main group chat, and then there's like the side group chat, you know. And you just like make sure you don't get the two mixed up. And like that's what
so
reading
real.
this book feels like, you know? And I just think it's
so
hilarious.
real.
Yeah. Like in today's parlance, it's like catching these women at a moment of crashing out, right? And they're just like spiraling. And it's like, okay, this is
But it's like
this is hilarious.
continuous crashing out.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you living? I'm continuously crashing
Day to
out.
day.
I'm crashing out
Day to day, baby. Day to day.
Exactly. That was one thing I did like, is they're constantly having breakdowns.
I just think about the 90s Black female author and how like our mom's bookshelves were so full, but somehow Waiting Exhale and Terry McMillan kind of bubbled up to the surface. And the other women didn't have that same kind of shine in that moment.
Actually, it's a great segue to our next segment, which is If You Like This, Read That, where we recommend books based off of this one. I think I want to start because I've got this collection called Where I'm Coming From by Barbara Brandon Croft. She was like, I believe, the first syndicated Black female cartoonist in the 90s. What it is that she's got these like 9 characters, and the way her art style is, they're literally like talking heads, and they're just like, sometimes all of these strips are just like these women talking
that
to each
comic.
other, sometimes on the phone, sometimes, you know, they're just like talking to each other about like the news of the day. Essentially, a lot of like ripped from the headlines, a lot of like the stuff that's going on when it comes to finding Black men, when it comes to being a single mother, when it comes to like current day or back then, right? Like the politics of the time. And it gives me the same, and I can't tell if it's specifically because of the aesthetics of the art. It gives me the same sense memory as Waiting to Exhale does of like going to Starbucks to buy a CD. You know what I mean? That like, that very, I can like see the furniture and like the kind of faded green of the walls. And it's given me that same sort of aura. And so that's my book recommendation. Brittany, you want to go next?
Yeah, I want to recommend Things I Should Have Told My Daughter, Lies, Lessons, and Love Affairs by Pearl Clegg. It is such a good book. It's basically like a memoir of sorts. It is a collection of her personal journals from college age deep into midlife. Like she's a young, child-free, unmarried woman at the beginning of the book. And at the end, she's in a completely different place in life. And I believe her daughter is grown by then. And Pearl Clegg, if you don't know her, is such an interesting person, a phenomenal writer, but she has just lived such an interesting life. It feels like getting a front row seat to all of these really interesting moments in Black American history and Black American life, just through the journey of one woman's life. So I recommend that book. It's really good.
Okay. So earlier this year, my mom was like, oh, I just heard about this book and I think you would really like it. I thought of you. I was like, oh, I'm on it. I always love when like I heard of a book and I thought of you. I love that. And she said, go read it. So I read it and it was called The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. And it's good. And it's like, it goes through this friendship of 5 friends over a span of time where it's like they're in their 20s and there's marriage, there's work. They become like grown women, but it kind of fills that hole that I was getting with Waiting to Exhale. And it all kind of like, oh, this is the next generation. This is nice. Let me get into this. So I highly recommend that one, The Wilderness.
Brittany, thank you so much. I was really stoked to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast. I had the time of my life.
Thank you for listening to Books We've Loved from NPR, and we hope to read with you all soon.
This message comes from Amazon Pharmacy. Imagine having anxiety, and then, on top of that, having anxiety about your anxiety meds. You might stress about whether the meds are going to get refilled on time, or if you need a renewal, or if you need an appointment for a renewal. And then there's the general waiting in line at the pharmacy anxiety. Amazon Pharmacy makes it easy to get your meds, and they'll send them right to you fast. With Amazon Pharmacy, healthcare just got less painful.
This message comes from IXL. With IXL, you get personalized online learning and teaching solutions that help improve achievement, empower teachers, and track progress. This one platform for K-12 helps teachers accomplish what normally would require dozens of other tools. Educators can see how their school is performing in real time to make better instructional decisions. IXL is used in 96 of the top 100 school districts. Learn more at ixl.com/NPR.